funny that I'm in Hawaii, but I have a fake Hawaii background.
Yeah, that's really funny, actually. Why don't you ever just have like a regular, real background?
I'm using the camera from the Zoom call. Anyone watching, you get the special treat of the Hawaiian Islands. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the Geek View. My name is Quincy. This is Jeremy here, and
AKA, this is Sick Quincy. Man, you do sound like you sound like a 90-year-old chain smoker.
This is Sick Quincy. All right, let's kick this off, everyone.
Kids, get your popcorn now. Let me tell you the story of the space Viking, Thor Odinson. He was no ordinary man. He was a god. After saving planet Earth for the 500th time, Thor set off on a new journey. Well, he got in shape. He went from dad bod to god bod. And after all that, he reclaimed his title as the one and only Thor. Oh, spoke too soon.
Jane? The old ex-girlfriend.
What's it been like? 3-4 years?
8 years, 7 months and 6 days, give or take.
Am I sensing feelings?
Well, you're right. The only ones who gods care about is themselves. So this is my vow. All gods will die.
Welcome back to the channel. We obviously have wanted to talk about Thor: Love and Thunder for a long time.
It's crazy. You made me watch this on opening night.
I know. I watched the opening night, but
yeah,
I had to watch it a couple times because
you feel
my schedule's so busy that I just show up, I watch, and I pass out.
You just fall asleep. I mean, I feel like that's every show, really.
Every movie
and every series.
I did get to watch it for the second time, and it was incredible. I think the cinematography is really great. I'm not too keen on the story, but I know they're just adapting it from the comics. Jane Foster, you can't help but enjoy the fact that she's Thor. What were some of the things that you enjoyed, Jeremy? Or didn't enjoy?
I did enjoy the fact that they had the best villain, but they didn't really show much of him.
Well, Christian Bale did a good job. I didn't recognize him at all.
You didn't know Christian Bale was going to be Gore.
I mean, I knew he was going to be Gore, but he did a good job of aesthetically making him not look like Christian Bale. I actually like Sandman's voice. Sandman's voice is actually pretty cool.
Oh, dark and edgy.
Yeah, they said that the director tried really hard not to make him sound like Batman, which I thought was hilarious.
He doesn't sound like Batman at all.
No, I know that they explicitly tried really hard to say, do not sound like Batman, because he sounded like Batman in the very beginning. Christian Bale, I think, did an incredible job as an actor. The costume department did a really good job of not showing that it was really him. I felt he was a great antagonist, but yeah, I guess they didn't show him that much.
He was called Gore the God Butcher, right? Because he had the Necro Sword. But it didn't show him killing off that many gods.
Yeah, they did say in the behind the scenes that they were supposed to show him killing off Jeff Goldblum and Peter Dinklage as gods.
Wait, Jeff Goldblum's a god? I guess that makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. Jeff Goldblum is a god.
Oh my gosh. That's not what I meant to say.
But Peter Dinklage, on the other hand, I mean, he's a space dwarf, though, right?
Yeah, I think though they were gonna show a lot more depth that people were familiar with, but they took it out of the. They
should have left it in.
I know it would have been.
Especially if you got Jeff Goldblum, then we could just say he was a god.
Maybe that was the wrong approach. They didn't really want the retaliation of people killing Jeff Goldblum. His character Thor Ragnarok was a little out there, but that's his acting style. He's very out there. Very out.
Yeah.
So they continue. I mean, I feel like in this movie they showed a lot of the lore of the gods. But was this all gods? This was all gods, right? Not just Norse mythology.
Yeah,
God.
yeah. So like when he went to the city, I forget what it's called, but it was like it showed every single god from every religion and every race.
Yeah, they were saying that you couldn't see the Moon Knight gods though. They're like, oh, where's the Moon Knight gods? That would have been cool.
Oh, true.
Yeah, the Egyptian.
But you did see a bunch of other gods like the Bao god,
Asia gods.
the dumpling god, the Bao.
I feel like Taika Waititi really did his homework this time around. Because that's hard. I mean, you have to think about every single religion and every single like ethnicity.
I don't know how accurate like all these gods are, but I mean, it looks cool.
But yeah, so we get introduced to kind of the mythology of almost the god lore of the MCU, as we call it.
I guess so. I mean, it's funny that you have Thor and you have Zeus. Was Zeus ever in the MCU?
Yeah, he was in MCU. So was Hercules. Yeah, and then of course you could also see the Eternals, right? Eternals are part of that universe as well. They're kind of hanging out in the background.
Yeah, I mean you can kind of see like their influence a little bit.
I thought that was really cool. I mean, for me, it doesn't make a lot of sense where you have a god butcher that really, I don't know how he would beat all these gods, just with the necro sword. I mean, because you still got to stab them, you still got to cut them.
Well, actually, I mean, it's not like they would all be fighting together as one, like as.
Yeah,
but then again, he did fend off, Thor and the Valkyrie lady.
I think they spent a lot of time, like, I think building Jane's like a storyline, and I think that was what was kind of hard because there was like focus on Thor and the Guardians, and then all of a sudden it shifted to Jane, and then Jane kind of became the focus, and then the gods became the focus. So there was a lot to kind of unpack, I think, in the movie in itself. I mean, the only thing that was really like awesome was the fights. I think cinematic wise, I mean, even with Ragnarok, the fight scenes were pretty amazing, right? Did you know that Taika Waititi was going to use Running Up That Hill?
Yeah. No, not necessarily in Thor though, right? It was just like it was just ruined for him, or he was going to use it for something.
I kind of wish he kept it. That would have been hilarious because I would have been like, oh shit, Stranger Things. Thor, of course, his final goal is to find eternity and fight eternity. And eternity, of course, is the cosmic universe of the MCU. He's pretty much all power, all knowing.
Well, I wish they kind of explained that a little bit more because this whole gods and eternity thing is getting a little bit confusing.
It's kind of like you learn about the lore through just the interactions, and no one really explains who does what and what does what.
I didn't understand who the heck eternity was. And also, why is he so powerful? And why can he grant you wishes? Like, why would he grant you wishes?
Right. He's a genie. Is he a genie?
Well, I guess I don't know. I mean, I have nothing to base him off of on. I got no explanation as to what was going on the entire movie. I don't understand why those gods were afraid in the first place, or why the necro sword was even a thing. Why it chose Gore? Why it was trying to kill the gods? I didn't understand anything that was going on the entire time. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna roll with the punches. There's cool fight scenes. Then they throw in the introduction of Jane Foster and her cancer, and I thought like, well, this is kind of random.
Well, it's not that random if you read the comics. I think that's what's becoming the issue with the MCU now is like there's the comics, right, as source material, but then you also have Disney Plus, which also can become source material as well. And you have all these directors, and I feel like they're kind of losing.
There is no like singular direction at the moment with MCU.
Yeah, I think
Phase 4 is just like Phase 4. There's nothing really to direct all these stories towards. Yeah, like there's no bad guy.
I have a feeling that Kevin Feige gives them like a general, like, hey, you're gonna talk about gods, and then same thing with Shang-Chi. You're gonna talk about gods, and then it's like. You figure it out.
It just kind of sucks that now we have to wait till actually Phase 5 and 6 in order to like figure out like how this all fits together.
They had 10 years to kind of flesh out phase 1, 2, and 3, and they're trying to compact, I feel like, the rest of phase 4, 5, and 6 in 3 years. And we've been jam-packed with so much content, and they're force-feeding us all these new characters so quickly. We're used to seeing a character maybe every 2 to 3 years, and then now we're seeing a character every week.
It's not 3 years because phase 6 doesn't start until like the end of 2024. Each phase is like around like 2 years or so. So really it's like 6 or 7 years total. At least according to like the roadmap that Kevin Feige laid out at the San Diego Comic-Con.
I think they're really waiting for D23. Can't wait for D23.
What's D23?
That's Disney's conference. They're gonna release a whole bunch of Marvel stuff. They're kind of holding back, but I mean, Comic-Con is of course one of the apex places for geekdom, right?
Yeah.
But I think D23 is where they really want to reveal everything.
D23, I think that's usually when they reveal like Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, Marvel too. Marvel's part of that whole part as well. You know what I mean?
I mean, no, it is. But I feel like D23 usually is like when they have their big reveals for Star Wars. And I think that's something they have a lot in store for.
Andor's coming out. Andor.
Oh, yeah, Andor Cassian. Yeah.
September. We also get 2 end credit scenes, a mid credit and an end credit scene. The mid scene does show Hercules, who in the comics is a big rival of Thor.
Okay, I'm so confused now because so the mix of Hercules makes this god thing even more because isn't Hercules a demigod, like half god?
He is as god.
And I didn't know he lived with Zeus.
I mean, that's his father.
Zeus has like 1 billion children.
I see what you're saying. I think the problem is the fact that in regular mythology, Hercules always didn't like Zeus or Hera, and Hera didn't like Hercules.
Where's Hera in all of this too?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
So I guess that's like the confusing parts because you have you have the actual mythology, then you have the MCU mythology, and I don't really know how the two really fit in with each other, right? Because it like in Thor, they attempted to do that in like Thor 1, but it didn't really turn out that well. Like it was kind of like it was kind of boring. It was kind of dry and not eventful at all. But they did try to explain like, oh, this is Thor from the Norse mythology, right? He had all of these stories about him and his mystical hammer Mjolnir. Yeah. But then after Thor 2, they kind of just did away with all that stuff. And it's like, oh, these are gods, so they're part of the Avengers now. They're a common thing.
I think what's really tough in general, even with DC, is everybody mythological from all these different stories and kind of injected into the comics.
I think Marvel, what they need is I don't even care what format it takes place on, what platform. It's like I think they need like some series to explain like who everyone is.
Yeah, and combine it all together. Before, the old MCU did a good job of kind of stringing everything together because they had the Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't even foresee like all of them working together. The only people I see kind of coming together essentially is the Young Avengers, but how does that tie in like people like Moon Knight?
That's the thing, we haven't even been reintroduced to the Young Avengers yet. Like the concept is not even a thing yet in the
that is true,
Marvel universe.
Like Avengers, right?
Well, not only that, but I just meant like there is no concept of a Young Avengers in the Avengers in those people's minds, right? Like we haven't even gotten to that point where it's like, oh, hey, what's a good idea? Let's create a second team of Avengers, but only young people. Let's call it Young Adventures. Like there's none of that progression yet.
Well, I mean, it's kind of subtly shown. Like there's Wiccan and Speed.
No. I mean, I know they're showing the characters that we know are in Young Avengers, but that doesn't mean like, oh, hey, let's form a new team together, guys. Because
there's no big bad to rally around.
Yeah, at least in like the first Avengers, which is all the characters to fight Loki, right? At least there was a reason as to why they formed up because of Nick Fury's plan, and then also that ultimately led to the introduction I'm not talking about logical. I'm just talking about the flow of like the story. Like
Yeah,
and that
like,
led
there's
to like the
logical
introduction
flow
of the
of
very
the
very
action.
first bad guy of the Mad Titan.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what I'm saying is like you have to think of this as the first few movies of like Iron Man, Captain America, like they're all standalone, right? There's no real reveal of any big bad, and essentially they're gonna need Phase 5 or Phase 6 to kind of rally together. You know what I mean? That's what
They
they're
just
doing.
did Iron Man 1, 2, and 3, then straight into Avengers. They didn't
I
even
mean,
do the
but they also
introduction.
did Captain America and Thor, right?
Thor 1 came out before. I think the only thing that was tying it all in was the introductory of like Shield and everyone.
They introduced Sword in WandaVision. They introduced Sword in
That's true.
No Way Home.
That's actually very true. WandaVision had Sword, but not everybody watched WandaVision. Not everybody knows Sword. I haven't seen Sword yet in the movies. I guess like also, now that it's out there, like I think I'm more than kind of confused about the entire timeline of events, because if you think about the Eternals and the events all that happened for them, that was like a world-shaking event with like the freaking Eternal
with the Eternal pulling them away.
with his hand, sticking out in the sky.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like,
That's
where is everyone else?
the reaction.
So I'm guess I don't know if does that take place like after all of these other movies.
I have a feeling that Guardians of the Galaxy might help a little bit, and then Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania might help as well, because Thor: Love and Thunder did not help.
Thor: Love and Thunder, like it literally did not progress anything. Like it didn't like it was like its own storyline at this point. It's like its own kind of separate universe.
I feel like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and Spider-Man: No Way Home helped a little bit in terms of explaining the multiverse. Honestly, of all the shows, besides WandaVision, I think Loki was really good with the TVA. That was very. I hate What If. Yeah, I was hoping to see some of the What If characters inside Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, but there was just Captain Carter. So.
The Illuminati.
Yeah, and there's Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That did nothing. Hawkeye did. Oh, see, Hawkeye introduced the Young Avenger.
Ooh.
And Kate Bishop.
Oh, see, that's the thing. I don't know who's in the Young Avenger, so I wouldn't even be able to recognize it.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think even Yelena Belova is supposed to be in the Young Avengers too. So that's why they
Black
did.
Widow.
Yeah, that's why they did Black Widow. She's supposed to be like. So Yelena Belova, Kate Bishop.
I thought the biggest thing was like, the introduction of the Kingpin.
Nah, I don't even know how Daredevil's gonna fit in all this.
Well, they did show him in that snippet trailer.
Yeah, they showed him in No Way Home. They showed him in the She-Hulk against She-Hulk.
No, I know, but I'm saying like they also showed him a snippet of him in his new suit.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, in his new suit, and of course they have him slated for, I think the Phase 5. I think it's gonna be Phase
Something
5.
like that. So I don't even know. It's like, and that leads to other questions. Like, is the Defenders back?
Well, I don't know who's in the Defenders.
The Defenders was Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage.
Oh
Iron
yeah,
Fist.
nobody liked those guys. Those guys are gone. God.
But Daredevil's back, and I think they also have the rights to, I think Jessica Jones and Luke Cage.
I like Jessica Jones. I like that actress. She's so nice.
I hope they bring her back.
Zoe Deschanel. No, that's not Zoe Deschanel. Sorry.
That's not Zoe Deschanel.
She looks like Zoe Deschanel.
No, she doesn't.
She does. They look exactly
look
alike.
anything alike.
We get one last credit scene, right? And spoiler alert: Jane Foster is not dead.
She is
ends up-
dead.
I mean, sorry. She is. Sorry. No spoiler alert. She's dead. Wait, no, there's still a spoiler alert. She's dead, but she's really alive in Valhalla.
That's not. She's in Valhalla. That's not alive.
Also, we see Heimdall in the
Yeah, in Valhalla, which is like the
Valhalla.
afterlife of the Norse gods
What
or the
can you
Norse
do in
mythology.
Valhalla? What are they
You
gonna
just
do?
eat and you fight all day.
They're
You
gonna hang out
you
with
don't
the-
die. Supposedly Valhalla is like, it's like heaven for Vikings.
Wait, so is she a Viking now? Is Jane Foster
She
Viking?
died a noble death as a Viking because she's Thor. She was Thor. Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna make anything out of it. Maybe. I don't know. Is Jane Foster coming back to the MCU? I mean, I know she did it for this one movie because of Taika Waititi. Like, he convinced her.
Taika Waititi?
Yeah, he convinced her to come back. So she came back because of a Taika Waititi to reprise the role of Jane Foster and female Thor. I don't know. Is she like back, or is she just like, hey, I'm just visiting kind of thing? What is that last? What's the point of the girl with the laser eyes?
Well, she's technically Chris Hemsworth's daughter, right? But they said that she's the embodiment of love, one of Eternity's daughters. Love and hate is from Eternity, so she has powers. She's like a god. She's a god.
So is she going to be important? Is she important in the Marvel comics?
Oh, you know what? You just brought up a good point of what kind of strung everything together. I think what really strung everything together, what really made every movie relevant, was the Infinity Stones.
Oh yeah, that's right. The Tesseract. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That was like one unifying thing. We was like, oh yeah, the Infinity Stones are coming.
Yeah, because Doctor Strange had the Time Stone.
Right.
Yeah, I think that was the unifying. Like right now, we have no real unifying theme that kind of lays the groundwork that we're all gonna come together, and this is the big bad that we're gonna face. True.
Yeah. There's nothing. Yeah. Okay.
There was a lot of logic.
Yeah, that was their holy quest for the Holy Grail.
Holy quest, yeah. So it definitely didn't have to do with anything. Like, it wasn't the Avengers. The Avengers, of course, brought the movies together, but I think what brought the whole phases together was the Infinity
Stones. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I just thought of that when you actually said that. I was like, oh yeah, they actually had Infinity Stones.
Yeah, that was a big thing.
That's a big thing. That's a big plot point.
That was a big factor in all of it. Yeah.
Other than that, what did you guys think of Thor: Love and Thunder? Sorry it took it so long. You know, hopefully, will I get my voice back?
Only our imaginary viewers can decide.
Only, yeah, exactly. You have to let us in the comment section below if you're really watching, because you know, then it's like, is it worth?
Then Quincy can sleep at night.
Oh my goodness, I always sleep at night. Barely.
That's actually true, especially when there's a movie going on.
You know what's actually funny is that when I put my head down, there's a light behind me.
Yeah, light bulb. Yeah.
It's like a light bulb. Shoot. All right. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.